The Saturday morning Bhagavad-gītā As It Is, reading and discussion with His Grace Yashodanandana Prabhu from Twain Harte, California, and all of our participants globally who are interested in hearing the philosophy of Krishna consciousness without adulteration. This is the key to spiritual advancement, to have the association of a pure devotee of Krishna. And Prabhupada is such a pure devotee of Krishna. And I was discussing with Yashodanandana Prabhu yesterday how extraordinary Prabhupada's work was back in 1965, 66, 67, 68, how through all kinds of difficulties he pursued the path of devotional service according to his spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta, and look at the success he had. It was extraordinary. When you see all these photographs, I'm looking at the photographs at the beginning of the class while we're hearing the bhajan by Srila Prabhupada, and I'm realizing all of the amazing people that joined him from the West specifically, and then he delegated them quickly to travel around the world and spread Krishna consciousness. He sent people to England. He sent 3 Grihastha couples to England. They were barely in the movement for a very long time. We had very little books. For example, back here in Hamilton, Ontario, back then, Prabhu's, we had one book, the Gita, the Blue Gita. And then when Dharmaraj and Gunamayi came from Buffalo, they were staying in the Buffalo Temple. Rupanuga had decided to open a center here in Hamilton. I think Unamashloka had gone to Toronto, to Beverly Street, and there were a few devotees there, Jagadish and Lakshmi Moni, and earlier, prior to that, Jayapataka Swami. And they decided, yeah, we'll open a branch in Hamilton. There was a lot of interest here amongst our group of people. We had a musical group, and a lot of people were around us. They were our fans, but they also started to take up Krishna consciousness due to our influence. And as a result, we had 19 Prabhupada disciples join from the Hamilton Yatra after 1971. So that was only 6 years after Prabhupada started his preaching. Extraordinary. And Prabhupada had all of us, we were students. We knew very little of Krishna consciousness. We hardly had any books. I was mentioning Yashoda Nandana Prabhu when I got my initiation in 1971 on Jefferson Avenue in Detroit. When Prabhupada announced my name, Vishvakarma Das, I had no idea who Vishvakarma was in terms of our philosophy, because we had no books on it. We had no experience. So we were still enthusiastic to serve Prabhupada. He sparked this fire of devotional service in all of us. And when you look back at those days, it was extraordinary how the movement spread. Yes, Prabhupada built an amazing organization over 11 short years. Now, some of us are older. We know 11 years goes very fast. Prabhupada used to say back then, I'm an old man. He was 73. He'd say, oh, I'm an old man. I'm going to leave soon. Nobody thought, oh, Prabhupada's going to leave. But by 81, he departed from this physical plane. But within that period, he left his Vani incarnation for all of us to follow. And that is the success of this Sankirtan movement, that despite the fact that the pure devotee was only active with us for a few short years, built such a big organization, laid the foundation for Krishna consciousness for the future of the world, he did this in a short period of time, only 11 years. It's extraordinary. And that's why we're reading the diaries, everyone. Someone was asking Yashoda, why does Vishwakarma read the diaries and read about how much Prabhupada spent on transportation and butter? It doesn't seem very relevant. It's very relevant for those who want to take leadership roles. Because leaders, they know how to organize their time. That is one of the key elements in leadership, is that you know how to utilize your time. And Srila Prabhupada knew how to utilize his time, and he really worked so hard in terms of spreading Krishna consciousness. We all know that he slept very little. He was constantly, after the movement started to gain more momentum, he was constantly traveling. And he went around the globe 11 times. Very, very arduous, difficult schedule that he followed. And along with that, he was translating all of his books that we have now in our libraries. What an extraordinarily, what a monumental feat that he accomplished with a bunch of neophytes. Because basically that was it. Even though some people in the early days, they thought, oh, I'm such a big devotee. I've got Prabhupada's association. You can see that Prabhupada, I'm going to divert here, Prabhupada was extremely aloof in terms of his relationship with the organization. He saw his role, but he wasn't thinking, oh, I'm such a big devotee. No. You can see in his disposition, in his aura, that he was completely detached from all of the grandeur that was around him, because the devotees brought him all kinds of glory. They brought him all kinds of respect. They brought him all kinds of money and facility, but he was not affected by it. And if you study it very carefully, looking at the videos, hearing the lectures, you'll see that. And one last point, we're reading into the March 1966 diary. We're going to go to that in a minute. But if you go to Prabhupada Vani, the website, you'll see there that Prabhupada's lectures are all recorded by him back then. And by reading the diary, you can get a realization there was nobody there practically. So Prabhupada was not motivated for so many followers. He was simply committed to presenting the truth without adulteration, without change, which had been the case in the Gaudiya Math back in India. This is the reality of the situation. So many people have opinions on it. They may not have the capacity or the experience to understand this, but the idea is we want to let you see these valuable teachings from him on how he conducted himself, how he dealt with himself in the early years, so that you can pattern your life in the same way that he did in spreading Krishna consciousness. Whatever great men do, common men will follow. Whatever standards they set by exemplary acts, the whole world pursues. And that is the personification of our Guru, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Believe it, Prabhus. We're not just talking here. We've had the experience of seeing him in his majestic work back then and now in his Vani incarnation. So we'll go to Tuesday, March 1st, 1966. And like I said, you can go to the classes and read them or hear them on Vani, so you can get a really intimate understanding of what things were going on with him back then. So Tuesday, March 1st, saw the India office for the extension of passport and saw Mr. L.L. Malhotra, saw also Mr. Bogart, still hopeful. Received a letter from the secretary of the Indian Prime Minister, disappointing. Received a letter from Universal Book, not encouraging. Butter and bus fare, etc. Expenditure 50 cents, and the income was 15 cents. 15 cents. Is that very much money? Throwaway money. Most people have 15 cents today. They don't even pick it up. The Universal Book House, Sita Sand, Tillisby Road, Dundar, Bombay, 28, India, to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, 100 West 72nd Street, room 307. Remember, he had no kitchen facilities and no bathroom facilities in this room. None. Dear Swamiji, I'm happy to receive your letter 16/2/66, and especially to learn that you are endeavoring to establish a temple of Sri Radha Krishna in New York. May God bless your efforts so that you may be instrumental to fulfill this unique project. I cannot give you very happy news of the progress of the sale of Srimad Bhagavatam. One thing, because the subject of religious and a small sector of society may personally be interested in the books. The question mainly is of the pocket. Besides other line of business and such that we rarely come in contact with colleges and universities. We tried to push them through some booksellers in Nagpur, Ahmedabad, Pune, etc., but regret to inform you that after some time, these booksellers return the books for want of response. As such, we are not only unenthusiastic to agree to your proposal of taking up sales for all of India, but we're just thinking of requesting you to nominate some other people in our place to represent your sales program in Maharashtra. We have so far sold off 6 sets of your books. The sale proceeds will be rupees 172.80, rupees 100. We shall shortly deposit the amount in your savings account with the Bank of Baroda Limited, wishing you all success in your enterprise. Very. With love and respect, yours truly, A.P. Darwadkar. And there's the letter sent to him. Not good news, eh? But did it deter Prabhupada? Not in the least. As you know, Prabhupada is one of the most prolific and authors in the history of the world on the subject matter of the Vedic teachings. And that's self-evident by his work. By airmail, J.K. L.K. Jha, Secretary to the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Secretary, New Delhi, February 25th, 1966. Dear Swamiji, the Prime Minister has seen your letter of February 8th, 1966. She appreciates the spirit which has prompted you to carry the spiritual message of Srimad Bhagavad-gītā and the Srimad Bhagavatam to other countries. Owing to the critical foreign exchange situation which the country is facing, it is greatly regretted that it will not be possible to assist you from here in your plan to set up a Hare Krishna temple. Yours truly, L.K. Jha. And Wednesday, so this is more discouraging news in a relative sense. Wednesday, March 2nd, today in the morning, I went to see Mr. L. Malhotra in connection with the renewal of passport after June 66. The application with letter of forwarding submitted, extension up to June 30th, 66, already allowed. It is referred to New Delhi, and by confirmation from there, the passport will be renewed at least for 1 year more. So it's very good news there. Expenditure, bus fare, 30 cents. Dr. Mishra gave me a pot for drinking milk. Chandra Shekhar sent a letter for seeing the passport office in New Delhi to expedite the reply. Income contribution, $3. Robert brought some of the whole wheat flour. Cohen brought the Sankirtan pitcher. There were some defects, so taken back for rectification. Cohen brought one cotton jersey for me. Thank you. And did I do March 3rd, Prabhu? Or is that it? Thank you. Okay, so thank you everyone for this opening, and we really appreciate your participation. We'll move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava, and then the reading and discussion with His Grace Yashodanandana Prabhu in the mountains, snow-covered mountains of Twain Harte, California. Oh, glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhavan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskrityam. Narayanam namaskrityam. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayat. Tato Jayam Udhirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad-gītā, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead, Narayana, 2, to the Nara-Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. As we do every week, we'll recite a few Sanskrit verses which incidentally were originally recited by Srila Prabhupada in 1966 when he started to lecture on the Bhagavad-gītā in New York in the early days. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagunaragunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatana Goswami, as well as Raghunath Dasa and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta, and Sri Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates Sri Lalita and Vishaka. E Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. O my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavana. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desired trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. As we do every week, we will be reading a few verses from a hymn called the Gita Mahatmya, or the glorification of the Bhagavad-gītā. This is taken from the Padma Purana, also quoted by Adi Shankaracharya, also quoted by Srila Prabhupada in his original introduction to the Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. We're going to read text number 5 and 6. Bharata Amrita Sarvasvam Vishnor Bhaktrad Vinishritam Gita Gangodakam Pitva Punarajanmana Vidyati. After drinking the water of the Gita, which is the nectar of the entire Bharata, the epic Mahabharata, and which has come out of the mouth of Vishnu, there is no more birth in this world. Sarvo Panishado Gavo Dugda Gopala Nandanaha Parto Vatsaha Sudhir Bhokta Dugdam Gitam Ritam Mahat. All the Upanishads are like the cows. The one who milks the cows is Krishna. Arjuna Partha is the calf. Men of purified intellect are the enjoyers. The milk is the great nectar of the Gita. The only scripture is the song of the son of Devaki. The only deity is the son of Devaki. The only mantra is his names. The only action is the service of that deity. Again, welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. Today we will be reading from chapter 10, text number 28 and 29. All synonyms, translations, and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Text 28. Ayudhanam maham vajram. Ayudhanam maham vajram. Denunam asmi kamaduk. Denunam asmi kamaduk. Prajanas chasmi kandarpaha. Prajanas chasmi kandarpaha. Sarpanam asmi vasukihi. Sarpanam asmi vasukihi. Ayudhanam, of all weapons. Aham, I am. Vajram, the thunderbolt. Denunam, of cows. Asmi, I am. Kamadhuk, the Surabhi cows. Prajanaha, for begetting children. Cha, and. Asmi, I am. Kandarpaha, Cupid. Sarpanam, of all snakes. Asmi, I am. Vasuki, Vasuki. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Of weapons, I am the thunderbolt. Among cows, I am the Surabhi, givers of abundant milk. Of procreators, I am Kandarpa, the god of love. And of serpent, I am Vasuki, the chief. Purport. The thunderbolt, indeed a mighty weapon, represents Krishna's power. In Krishna Loka, in the spiritual sky, there are cows which can be milked at any time, and they give as much milk as one likes. Of course, such cows do not exist in this material world, but there is mention of them in Krishna Loka. The Lord keeps many such cows, which are called Surabhi. It is stated that the Lord is engaged in herding the Surabhi cows. Kandarpa is the sex desire for presenting good sons. Therefore, Kandarpa is the representative of Krishna. Sometimes sex is engaged in only for sense gratification. Such sex does not represent Krishna. But sex for the generation of good children is called Kandarpa and represents Krishna. Text number 29. Anantaschasmi naganam. Anantaschasmi naganam. Varuno yadasammaham. Varuno yadasammaham. Pitrunam Maryama chasmi. Pitrunam Maryama chasmi. Yamah samyamatam maham. Yamaha samyamatam maham. Anantaha. Ananta. Cha. Also. Asmi. I am. Naganam. Of all serpents. Varunaha. The demigod controlling the water. Yadasam. Of all aquatics. Aham, I am. Pitrinam, of the ancestors. Aryama, Aryama. Cha, also. Asmi, I am. Yamaha, the controller of death. Samyamatam, of all regulators. Aham, I am. Translation. Of the celestial Naga snakes, I am Ananta. Of the aquatic deities, I am Varuna. Of departed ancestors, I am Aryama. And among the dispensers of law, I am Yama, Lord of Death. Purport. Among the many celestial Naga serpents, Ananta is the greatest. as is Varuna among the aquatics. They both represent Krishna. There is also a planet of trees presided over by Aryama, who represents Krishna. There are many living entities who give punishment to the miscreants, and among them Yama is the chief. Yama is situated in a planet near this earthly planet, and after death those who are very sinful are taken there, and Yama arranges different kinds of punishments for them. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaham Namaum Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaham Bhagavad Vandanam Kadhyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sarkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataham Adadanastrinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaham Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatosmyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarvatam Tatkripa Pikshako Nityam Tatprishta Shatakaromisvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here Lord Krishna is describing various special representative of different categories. What is quite significant, Krishna says, amongst the cows, I am the Surabhi, givers of abundant milk. We see in the Brahma Samhita, a Vedic literature which was often quoted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that the Chintamani cow, the abode of Chintamani, is described as Goloka Vrindavana, the planet of Lord Krishna. Chintamani prakara sadmasu kalpabriksha lakshavriteshu surabhira vipalayantam. There's a description there of what is the living situation in this planet. And one of the prominent features of the spiritual world, of this great transcendental place, is that there are plenty, unlimited Surabhi cows, these special cows that produce unlimited amounts of milk. Prabhupada is describing in the purport, of course, we don't find these cows here in this world, but they're there in the spiritual world. Prabhupada says, of course, such cows do not exist in this material world, but there is mention of them in Krishna Loka. The Lord keeps many such cows, which are called Surabhi. It is stated that the Lord is engaged in herding the Surabhi cows. This is one of the characteristics of Lord Krishna. One of his name is called Gopala. Gopal means one who is the protector of the cows. Govinda, one who gives protection to the Brahmanas to all the senses and to all the cows. Protection of cows is very important in Brahminical culture. Whereas in Mleccha culture, in Yavana culture, they kill the cow. According to Chanakya Pandit, there are 7 mothers, of which the cow is considered one of them. The cow is a very important animal because it gives milk. And even the stool of such animal is beneficial for agriculture, for so many other purposes. But due to the influence of Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, so many people are confused. They are bewildered about the importance of the cows. They think that killing the cow is necessary for obtaining protein for the human body. This is foolishness. This is not human culture. This is barbarian culture. A human being can get plenty of nourishment from various grains, fruits, vegetables, milk. So many different combinations are there. Hundreds, thousands of preparations can be made. But due to the influence of Maya, or the illusory energy, people think that they have to kill the cow. There's an interesting conversation where somebody asked a question from Srila Prabhupada and said, well, in the Bible, it says that Jesus Christ provided fish to the various inhabitants of that region. Prabhupada says Jesus Christ can eat the whole world. He is not Jesus Christ. You cannot imitate. But does that mean that now you have to start these big slaughterhouses because he provided some fish to some hungry people? Of course, they have no reply to such a point. Interestingly, the other day, somebody sent me an article about different statement in the Bible with regards to not killing animals. And one such statement was quoting that in the Greek language, the word trophe, T-R-O-P-H-E, means nourishment. And the way it was, by the time they translated it into English, they translated as meat. Well, there's a lot of different foods that can provide nourishment without being meat. As a matter of fact, many very healthy foods provide nourishment without being meat. So in Vedic culture, the cow is very important to protect the cow. To protect the cow. We see in India, there are many goshalas and organizations that promote the protection of the cows, and also to protect Brahminical culture. Kṛṣṇa describes in the Vedas that the Brahmanas are considered the head of Lord Vishnu. Brahmanosi mukamasit. This is a very important point. The Brahmanas, the head of society, are meant to give guidance to the other members of society. But in Kali Yuga, everything is turned upside down. Everything is disturbed due to the influence of the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. We see every day there's so much propaganda, so much talk in the newspapers, in the radio, on television, on the internet. People talk amongst themselves. So much gossip, so much nonsense gossip. Why? Because this is the tendency of conditioned souls, to engage in gossip, useless talk, unproductive discussion. There's a story how Srila Prabhupada was in Australia, sitting in his room, and he heard one of his personal servants gossiping, some loose talk in the other room. So he called his personal servant and asked him, was that you that was talking? Why you are gossiping? Why you're wasting time gossiping? Of course, the devotee didn't really have a good answer. And Prabhupada says, don't waste time. If you have time, read the Bhagavatam. Read the Bhagavad-gītā. This is the proper use of time. These literatures have been given by the great acharyas and by Srila Prabhupada to give a chance to everybody to absorb their minds in hearing about Krishna. Then one can become free from this entanglement in this material world, free from this constant lamentation and illusion. If you look, for example, at the internet today, you will see two distinct characteristics. Sochati, kankshati. There is regular lamentation and there's regular hankering, constantly hankering for sense gratification and constantly complaining that I did not get sense gratification or there has been this problem, that problem. This is due to the tendency of the human mind. Now, the animal mind cannot do that because they don't have the developed consciousness to discriminate. It's called sankalpa vikalpa, to accept things which are pleasant for sense gratification and to reject things which are unpleasant for sense gratification. So the mind is always busy trying to hanker some new pleasures for sense gratification. And when the mind does not get pleasure for sense gratification, there's constant lamentation. If you analyze what is being discussed, it falls into these categories. It's there. Why is it that we see so much advertisement on the internet for so many different kinds of foods, so many different kinds of cars, so many different kinds of movies, sporting events, political events, so many different distractions? Why? Because the mind is constantly hankering to try for some sense gratification, but it's never satisfied. It's never satisfied. There was a great poet, Vaishnava poet, Govinda Kaviraj. He described that this sense gratification is just like the water on a lotus leaf. Sometimes in tropical countries, they will have these lotus flowers near the water. And sometimes a drop of water will fall on the leaf, but it cannot stay there very long. Kamala dala jala jivana talamala. It is described that the tendency in this human life is to seek for sense gratification, to try to obtain some sense gratification, but the very nature of sense gratification is very temporary. One can try as much as he wants. It is not permanent. It is very temporary. But an intelligent person will ask, what is that situation that I can get permanent enjoyment? That is why we see in the different shastras or scriptural texts, Ramante yuginanante satyananda chidatmani. Iti Rama padinaso param brahma vidiyate. That great yogis and transcendentalists are constantly hankering for transcendental pleasure by chanting the name of Rama. The name of Rama means transcendental pleasure, transcendental satisfaction. Ramante yoginanante satyananda chidatmani. Because of bliss, knowledge of eternity. So those who are intelligent, they learn how to associate constantly constantly with that source of transcendental satisfaction. The question, well, how do you do that? Prabhupada was explaining in one lecture that you cannot see Krishna, not with these current senses. Ata Sri Krishna namadi na bhaved grayam indriyai. That the person Krishna, his activities, his form, his qualities, with these mundane senses, you cannot see. But sevan mukhehi jivadu, if you engage in serving, beginning with the tongue, then it can be revealed. Because many times people will say, well, can you show me God? And every time Prabhupada was asked that question, he would reply, well, do you have the eyes to see? Prabhupada says, I can show you, but you have to develop the eyes to see. You have to purify the consciousness, purify the mind and the senses. And that is done beginning with the tongue. Sevan mukhe jivadu. It begins with the mouth and the tongue. What is the function of the tongue? To taste and to vibrate. Two basic fundamental features. We like to taste various kinds of palatable foods, and we vibrate. So many different kinds of vibrations. We speak, we sing, so many things. So one has to connect these functions with Krishna. Swayameva Spuratyada. Then Krishna, God himself, will manifest. Somebody says, well, how is that? Because the name of Krishna, Abhindatvam Nama Namina, the name of Krishna is non-different than the person Krishna. Kali Kale Namarupe Krishna Avatar. In the age of Kali Yuga, Krishna is incarnated with his name. That is not very difficult to understand. That is a special dispensation, a special blessing for this age of Kali Yuga. That anyone can take advantage of hearing the name of Krishna, hearing the activities of Krishna, hearing the message of Krishna, hearing the qualities of Krishna. Just like we're discussing today from Bhagavad-gītā about the different cows in the spiritual world, and so many different features also, because people ask so many different questions. So it is very important to hear from proper sources and avoid nonsense gossip. Nonsense gossip will ruin your intelligence and you will ruin your life. Quite significant, Prabhupada says, this is quoted from a conversation in Los Angeles in Prabhupada's garden on June 10th, 1976. June 10th, 1976 in Los Angeles, California. Prabhupada, so sleeping is waste of time. Therefore, spiritual advancement means minimizing sleeping. Nidrahara vihara kadi vijito. About the Goswamis' life, it is said they conquered over Nidra Ahara. If you eat extraordinarily, then you will sleep also extraordinarily. If you eat frugally, as much minimum required, then you can conquer over sleep. Eating, sleeping. Sleeping depends on eating. Atyahara prayastascha prajalpo niyamagrahaha. Nectar of instruction number 2. The people in the material world, atyahara means collecting more than necessity. Somebody has got millions of dollars, still he's working hard day and night to increase the bank balance. Why? You've got sufficient money. Now you engage your life for spiritual advancement and take little food. God is giving you enough. Why you are wasting your time in collecting money and eating more? That is misuse. Therefore, Rupa Goswami says, Atyahara prayasascha. The prajalpo niyamagraha. Ahara means eating. and ahara means collecting. So these are against bhakti principles, collecting more than necessity or eating more than necessity. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha. Prayasa, things which are not done very easily. I have to endure very, very hard. That kind of work should be avoided. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpa, in talking nonsense. No use. You are talking together for hours. What is the use? Prajalpa, it is called prajalpa. And niyamagraha, and without any result. So in this way, Prabhupada is giving so many instructions for devotees and people in general to avoid these things which are destructive of practical spiritual advancement. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for that deep insight into our philosophy of Krishna consciousness given by Srila Prabhupada. And I wanted to refer again, Yashodanandana Prabhu, to the purport on text 29 of today's verse, because it gives us some real insight into what are the results of sinful life, and especially the killing of cows. So here it is said that there is also a planet of trees presided over by Aryamya, who represents Krishna. There are many living entities who give punishment to the miscreants, and among them, Yama is the chief. Yama is situated in a planet near this earthly planet, and after death, those who are very sinful are taken there. And Yama arranges different kinds of punishment for them. So one of the most serious karmic activities that you can do is kill the cow. Actually, it's part of the Srimad Bhagavatam, how King Parikshit was so upset to see the cow being harmed in his kingdom. So this is one of the most important things for human society is cow protection. In this modern world, there's no mercy given to domestic animals that serve the human society. This is absolutely horrific, how the Kali Yuga has evolved. It is horrific. I remember Yashodanandana Prabhu back in the 60s. I was living in Windsor at the time, and there was a McDonald's there. And it was gradually proliferating. I believe it started in the 60s, yes. And it was gradually developing. So the sign used to read, if I can recall correctly, millions sold. That's how they started out. They put up a sign, millions sold, millions. And then eventually the sign went up, billions sold, as time went on. So this McDonald's had their sign, billions of cows, the hamburger meat sold, billions. And then he evolved to the point where they took the whole thing down. They took down millions, because it went into the trillions. This is the style of the modern man, to eat fast food. Chicken, KFC, the same. Huge, massive corporations have evolved from the killing and selling of meat and meat products. And everybody is indoctrinated by media, by advertising, to kill and eat animals. And they're all sharing in this collective karma. It is not that, it is just the responsibility of the people that work in the slaughterhouse. But actually there's 7 participants in the slaughtering of animals and the eating of them. The ones that raise them, the ones that transport them, the ones that slaughter them, the ones that prepare them for eating, the ones that serve them, the ones that eat them. So there's a huge karmic chain going on nowadays. And this is the Kali Yuga, the Iron Age of quarrel and hypocrisy, where all the good qualities of human beings are almost destroyed to nil. So, this collective karma is being manifested these days in all kinds of wars. Prabhupada told us, and Yashoda Prabhu, Nandana Prabhu knows that, if you can close the slaughterhouses in Chicago, back then they were the main place in America for the processing and killing of the animals and the distribution. He said if you could close the slaughterhouses in Chicago, you could stop all wars. But this is not going on. And as a result, war carries on. And just see how many people are suffering collectively due to war, because there is no understanding of how to live properly as human beings. So in the Gita, we're also introduced to Yamaraj, where after death the sinful are taken. So in other words, not only do the people suffer in this life dramatically from cancer, heart disease, all different types of mental problems, and all different kinds of diseases. So this is going on because of sinful activity. Not only will you suffer in this lifetime, be guaranteed, human so-called society, be guaranteed that after you die, it'll be much worse. But do people care? No. Why don't they care? Because they have no knowledge of how to act. This was Prabhupada's mercy on us, that he came from India and brought this Sankirtan mission to us. And by the way, I wanted to mention that back in the 70s, there was an article that came in the Vegetarian Times. And it said that the Kṛṣṇa movement was the biggest influence for vegetarianism in America. Of all movements, and Prabhupada did not come to teach vegetarianism, by the way, or veganism. It wasn't his responsibility. He was teaching people how to be Krishna conscious, not vegetarian, Krishnatarian. A devotee offers food to Krishna before he eats it. And that prasadam, that mercy of Krishna, is not only spiritually beneficial, but it also will help everything that goes on in this world. Prasadam, we have a new person living at the ashram here every day, and he's not very conscious at all, but I teach him one thing. I say, you take this food and honor it as prasadam. I get him to repeat it to me. And then I tell him this, prasadam is antiseptic and prophylactic. Remember this, William. Try to understand that this is just not food that you eat. This is the opportunity for you to become purified by eating spiritual food, which is what Prabhupada taught us when he came here. And if you go to our Prabhupada Disciples website, you'll see how the proper, or Facebook group, you'll see there are posts there on how to properly offer your food to Krishna, and in this way have prasadam, not only for yourself, but for others. Today I have 2 people coming over for lunch. There's a motorcycle enthusiast mechanic and a prominent musician. And I told them this morning, so I'm going to have some food for you for lunch. So we're going to have dal and rice and salad and some nice little prasadam for them, and I thought, okay, great. I have a chance to give 2 people today prasadam and bless them with that food. We've had 4 people in the last year and a half die from the ashram here. And every time someone passes away here, I always think, well, the best thing you could do for someone who is very sort of lost in this world is to give them some prasadam, because prasadam guarantees human life in the next birth. This is a great blessing. And this is the business of the devotees of the Sankirtan mission, to share Krishna consciousness, to share prasadam, to share Prabhupada's knowledge and his teachings to everyone that you meet. And in this way, we will become happy in the human form of life. Yashodanandana, Prabhu, please. And we have other people who are going to speak. Go ahead after.
This is a very important point that has been raised here about the prasadam. The prasadam is very powerful. There was one conversation where Srila Prabhupada discussed how in the beginning of his movement, in 1965, Srila Prabhupada said, I did not teach much philosophy. He says, I used to feed them. I used to cook dal, rice, vegetable, chapatis, and feed them. He says, this is how the movement started. So this is a very important point, because Prabhupada used to often say, we are a kitchen religion, because you're going to have to eat a few times a day. If you learn to offer your food stuff nicely to Krishna and the spiritual master, it becomes sanctified. It goes from bhoga, or unoffered foodstuff, to prasadam, or full mercy of Krishna. Like technically we don't offer prasadam, we offer bhoga to the deity. After it is offered, it becomes prasadam, special mercy of Krishna. So this is a very important point. Another point in this verse, I know that some people have criticized that in the original so-called manuscript, that the word is the planet of the pea trees instead of planet of the trees. Well, how do they know that there's no trees on the planet of the pea trees? They don't. Have they been there? They did not. So this is another point for another discussion, but very interesting points. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Dharma Bhavana in Dallas, Texas. Please, if you could share. We're going to go through and get people to speak. And I see Neil Sharma has his hand up, so we'll ask him after. Let's go through the program and have the discussion. Dharma Bhavana to begin.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yeah, this is an interesting point, because when we see a prasadam, when it's offered, it looks the same as before. We've said our prayers and offered it with devotion. And so if someone is not, careful in their understanding of Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness, they will not be able to detect any difference. Mm-hmm. And anyway, this is just some things I was thinking about, how it's easy for somebody who's new to think of Krishna consciousness like the activities of the material world. And sometimes, just like, say, for example, we want to learn something, and we learn something academically, maybe through reading the books. We hear devotees have discussions. We may think that just by learning years and dates and personalities and Sanskrit terms, that is really what we're supposed to be learning. But beyond that is when Krishna as a super soul gives us realization to understand how it applies to our lives, how to utilize these things in a devotional service. how to get a deep understanding, and most importantly, how to treat and honor the devotees who may be far, far more advanced than ourselves. So I was thinking how this realization is really what happens when Krishna is super soul and Prabhupada is pleased with us. Then we can really understand things in a fundamental, very deep way. And if we limit ourselves to seeing things from a material point of view, like somebody has a title, somebody has a position, and we think of it in some kind of material way like that, we're never going to really get to the basis of what we're trying to do. Thank you.
Haribo. Jonas Priya in Hawaii. Are you there by the microphone?
Hare Krishna, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Yes.
Yeah, there's one occasion where a Indian lady asked Prabhupada, "Can you see Krishna?" And Prabhupada answered, asked the same question, says, "Can you see Krishna?" And the lady said, "No." And Prabhupada said, "Why not?" And she said, "Well, she couldn't really answer." So Prabhupada says, "You cannot see Krishna because you don't want to see Krishna." Says, first, to see Krishna, you must want to see Krishna. So this is our goal, that yes, we want to see Krishna. So how do we attract Krishna's attention? Well, Prabhupada says that we should act in a way that Krishna wants to see us. And then we start acting like that, then Krishna will very easily reveal himself to one that is fully surrendered. So full surrender is the ticket. Full surrender is not easy because we're so conditioned to simply follow the dictation of our senses. So if we could break away from the slavery of the senses, then that's the beginning on our way to start seeing Krishna. And Krishna makes it very easy, like we read it on this chapter, that Krishna's there everywhere. When you feel the warmth of the sun, who is that? That's Krishna. That amazing taste and impure water, what is that? Krishna says, "I am the taste in the water." So it's hard not to, once you start understanding what Krishna is and where he is, then you start seeing Krishna everywhere. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Ram Singh in Sacramento. Could you maybe share a couple of points with us on today's discussions?
Okay, yeah, Srila Prabhupada started this great transcendental movement in it started by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself 5,000 years ago. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then the predecessor Acharyas came, and then Bhaktisiddhanta, and then Srila Prabhupada. So we are very fortunate to be here discussing the philosophy and planning for the future. Srila Prabhupada wanted temples, centers, farm communities. These are all the responsibility of the students and to implement in their lives. So I feel very fortunate to be here at this time and trying to help in any way I can to make the movement go forward. So thank you very much for the classes.
Excellent. Well, that's the secret of success, is opportunity and preparation meet. And when you're prepared and you have the opportunity in this Krishna conscious mission, then you can be truly successful in the human form of life. We have our friend Neil Sharma in Miami. He looks so beautiful.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Neil Sharma does.
Very important, what you call,
Yes.
very important topic about food. And I think
Yes.
for those people who are the preachers amongst us,
Yeah.
we can promote this particular topic very easily amongst potential candidates who would be interested in joining Krishna consciousness. When somebody asks me as to why are you a vegetarian, I ask them, what is the reason you want? Do you want a spiritual reason? Do you want an environmental reason? Do you want a medical reason? Or do you want a humane reason, you know. So there are very many reasons. And if you want
Yes.
to, there are quite a few documentaries which are available on Netflix, of which one is very important, which is Forks Over Knives, like just how you eat a steak, fork over knives. It's an old documentary, but it brings about two very interesting points. As Vishwakarma Prabhu said, that why we don't eat meat, because meat is associated with different diseases, hyperacidity or increased acid reflux. We are talking about coronary artery disease. And this has been proven by two independent people who are not associated with Krishna consciousness at all. One is a
Ah,
cardiothoracic surgeon and one is a nutritionist. Two of them came together with their research work. They did independent research, and this has been proven. Like in 1941, when Poland was invaded by Nazi Germany,
uh-huh.
uh, all the meat which was produced in Poland was directed towards the German occupied forces. When they saw the incidence or just the epidemiological studies, meaning how often does this cardiac events occur or a people
Yep.
with heart disease, Poland showed a huge dip in the incidence of heart disease from
Mm.
1941 to 1944.
Ah,
And when they looked back as to why this dip was there, and then after 1944, it again picked up, that they realized that because Poland was occupied by Nazi Germany and all the forces took over their abattoirs, took over the meat. And so the common man did not have any meat to eat. So the incidence of heart attacks went down. So if you want to know medical reasons, there are very many medical reasons, and you can show them those documentary series. Of course, another big issue which is going on right now is the environmental issue. How much resources go into making 1 ounce of meat
yeah.
compared to the same amount of protein which you can consume from a vegetarian source? So if you summarize all these things together, the karma process, the karmic account process from a spiritual perspective, if we follow Krishna consciousness, we will be not only good humans, we'll be good earthlings, because we'll be good for the environment, we'll be healthier. So everything kind of comes down. The second part which I wanted to talk to about is how Prabhupada interestingly connects food and sleep. You know,
Yes.
the more food we eat, the more sleep we need because of that, and how we need to minimize this so that we can develop our waking hours as much as possible in Krishna consciousness. But there's one interesting part which I would like to share with people over here. Is
Yes.
one of my friends who are in the main ISKCON group, and he likes to host a lot of these fake gurus. And one day he comes to me very fed up. Says, I'm fed up with these gurus. Says, why? What happened? You know? So he says, well, this guru, I was trying to host him, and his secretary comes to me and says, the guru eats nothing but organic brown basmati rice. That's all he eats, nothing else. Don't bother with that. I would like to know what Yashodananda would like to say about that.
Yashoda, please. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you, my friend.
it's a very interesting description by Dr. Nilesh Shyam Prabhu. Very interesting, very, very well researched about the negative issue involved in eating meat. Now, as far as this guru not only eating basmati rice, let me tell a little story here. In Africa, Srila Prabhupada, there was a devotee there that he had been commissioned to cook for Srila Prabhupada.
Ah,
But this devotee did not know how to cook. He was not a regular servant or regular close associate of Prabhupada. He was a new brahmachari. So he just put some vegetable together in a pot and boiled them, probably burnt some of them, and they offered that to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada told his servant, who has cooked this dog food? Does he not know about ghee and spices and salt and turmeric and ginger and coriander? Does he not know? How can you present this? Prabhupada said, tell that boy, teach him how to cook. So that's interesting. Another time, what happened is in Bombay, Prabhupada had given instruction that only initiated brahmanas should cook, and that he only wanted to eat foodstuff that had been prepared by initiated brahmanas. So one time, the devotees had left the room and they heard this big thud along the wall, like a big on the wall. So they came and there was a big samosa on the wall that had been tossed there, breaking up. And Prabhupada was holding a black hair about 3 feet long. Prabhupada says, "What is this? Who has cooked this?" And Prabhupada said, "I said only initiated Brahmana men and women should cook for the deities." Prabhupada did not like the fact that this had come from outside, somebody who was not an initiated devotee, that basically messed things up. But the point is, this devotee that only wants to eat the organic rice, Prabhupada ate all different kinds of foodstuff. Although Prabhupada himself had diabetes, every day he would take dal, rice, chapatis, vegetables, all different kinds of, even in the morning, he would take chopped ginger, chickpeas, slice of oranges, and all of these things are very healthy to counteract diabetes. So Prabhupada, although he did not take medication like insulin or other things, he was very, very careful the way he was eating to basically keep himself very, very balanced. And of course, Prabhupada was completely transcendental, amazing. But just a few different points in this connection. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu, please go ahead.
Once I'd read that somewhere in Surat or somewhere where Prabhupada was with his disciples and he accepted to go to some Yajman's place, some person's place, and the person had cooked onions and garlic. And the disciple says, "Prabhupada, you are eating, this is onion and garlic." And Prabhupada said, "Quietly eat it." Do you know about this episode?
Yeah, I was told that story by one devotee. What happened is that he was invited by a gentleman who had become a life member. This was a very influential person who basically was bringing in many other people to take part in the movement, to become life members, to contribute to help. This was in the early 70s in India, I believe either Delhi or Punjab or something. So what happened is this gentleman had cooked for Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada's servants pointed out to Prabhupada, he picked up a piece of onion, a small piece of onion, showed it to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada told him, "Shut up and eat it. Don't say anything. Otherwise, these people will feel greatly offended." Of course, this is not to be taken that this is Prabhupada condoning or allowing his disciples to eat onions or garlic. That is not the idea here. But Prabhupada was just very, very tactful, the way that he dealt with these people, not to insult them or not to, It's just like one time I was told in 1970, when Prabhupada came to India, there was no facilities, there was no big temples. People were living in dharamshala or, very, very basic facilities, not very, very nice facilities many times. So the devotees had arranged for a train ride from Prabhupada to go from Delhi to Calcutta. So on the way there, in India, in these train stations, if you don't cook in it, they have these little vendors. They'll cook a couple of puris and a little cup of spicy potatoes, and you'll survive. And basically, Prabhupada pulled some rupees out of his pocket, and he got a couple of rupees, puris, and some vegetable. So the devotees looked at Prabhupada and said, "Prabhupada, this is not prasadam, it's not offered." Prabhupada said, "Do you think I'm such a fool that I should starve because you forgot to cook and offer? Is that what you think?" In other words, Prabhupada was giving some instruction that devotees should make proper arrangement even when traveling. So that is just one story.
Thank you. Very, very interesting discussion this morning. I wanted our production manager, Vinkat Bhatta, if you could bring up the invitation for the classes that we've created for publication, so you can all see this. we do want to continue to increase. Here we have this free online classes that we're promoting globally through the different centers that are operating, whether it's San Diego, Sacramento, or in Mexico, or in Italy, etc., Canada, America, like that, so that people get a chance to have the opportunity to learn about Krishna consciousness in a bona fide way. So in this way, we can proliferate, expand our preaching work to the sincere people that are searching for the truth, because really, people have to be very serious about spiritual life in order to take it up. And having a guru is not a fashion, it's a necessity. And we have Prabhupada in his Vani incarnation and his bona fide disciples representing that to the public. And these classes are part of the weekly sadhana program that we're promoting. So you can see this. So if you want this particular piece of artwork, you please speak to us, and we'll get our production team to send you the artwork, and you can print it. And Venkat Bhatta, could you just show the second page, please? Now, up at the top, there's a little open banner there. Just slide down a bit, Prabhu, if you can show them that open spot. Now, the up the other way. Yeah, there's a place there for you to write in your phone number or get a stamp. You can stamp your name in and let people in your local area know that you're ready and available for them to help in their development of Krishna consciousness through your association in your particular area. So this is a new innovation by our group, and we hope you take advantage. And you can see down there we have all of the different things. We need the Prabhupada Disciples Association Facebook page on this artwork. But anyway, we're moving forward, and we look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow for Srimad Bhagavatam class. We had a very good turnout today. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming, and let's continue to expand this effort of mercy, of prasadam, in the form of hearing and tasting the transcendental mercy of the Lord in his prasadam. Let's go ahead, Prabhu, and play the chanting of Hare Krishna. Chant along with Srila Prabhupada, everyone, and continue to enjoy your service in his mission. Hari Bol.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us, for our respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees, Hare Krishna, Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindubhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Aloha in Hawaii. Janas Priya, aloha in Hawaii, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thanks, Rupesh Chawan, for the beautiful picture of Madhvacharya and a beautiful write-up on Madhvacharya's appearance day for tomorrow, on Sunday. We'll be sending an email to all the devotees. Very nice work, very nice work. Vijay Pandit Prabhu, come va?
Va bene.
Eccellente, eccellente.
Va bene. I'm working.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
We'll see
Hare-
everybody tomorrow. Hare Krishna.